I guess Birdie is American, so
Yeah, can't
I
fight.
think. Makes
Abigail's
sense.
got free healthcare.
Fuck, you're right. And Birdie doesn't eat healthy.
See, it's a bad matchup. Why do you think Abigail's got so much health? Single payer healthcare.
Hello and welcome to the YASEcast. This is episode 14. I am Lamo. With me today, I am joined by Morgan.
It's me.
And that's it. It is just the two of us today. The rest of the cast is either moving, plagued with computer problems, or just fill in the blank, y'all. So doing a keeping it small. Just a two-person cast, which honestly I'm kind of excited about, to be completely honest.
I think it's gonna be fun. You know, I'm a big fan of the Tatsunoko versus Capcom games, so I'm ready for the 2v2 format.
Yeah. Playing duos, it's gonna be perfect. So I guess starting as usual then, what have you been up to the past week? What you been watching, doing?
I've been doing it's been a fun media week for me actually. So Laverne Cox's documentary Disclosure dropped on Netflix, and It was a very good watch. It was a very hard watch at times for me, and I kind of, it's still living rent free in my brain. So Laverne Cox produced this documentary with Netflix where a bunch of non-binary and trans femme and trans masc actors come in and they talk about their experiences with representation in film and media and the history of LGBT, but very heavy emphasis on the T, both in terms of on film, but also in casting and stuff. And there's a lot to go there. So, for example, there's a lot of times people cast, cis men will get cast as trans women because casting directors will go out and they'll screen trans women and then say, "You don't look trans enough." We want someone that looks it's gross, right? But it happens a lot. And I knew of a couple cases of that. I knew that it happened in the casting of the Danish Girl. I didn't realize how prevalent it was. But it was also really a little hard at times. If you also remember the ending. Do you remember the ending of Ace Ventura: Pet Detective?
I don't remember anything about Ace Ventura: Pet Detective.
You're better off than me because it scarred me for life. It's
is that the one where he climbs out of the?
I think it's the one where the rhino's ass. Yeah, I think so.
Okay, Rhino, yeah.
It's a rhino's. It's a good scene, but the whole premise and the reveal is that the villain is a trans woman, and he figures it out, and then there's an extensive scene of Jim Carrey vomiting and pressure washing his mouth out with mouthwash and everything, and then the big climactic confrontation. He tears open her blouse, pulls down her skirt, and then flips her around to show that her genitals are tucked. And everyone in the room starts throwing up, and that's the punchline. And I remember as a kid watching that and thinking, I will never be loved. And to hear that also echoed from some of the actors and actresses in this documentary, it was all right, I have to pause this and walk away for a bit because this is bringing up things I haven't thought about in 10 years.
Fuck. And
so that was rough. And on a more fun note, I sat down with my girlfriend who has a degree in Russian, and we watched a Soviet-era comedy that roughly translates to Ivan the Terrible changes careers or gets a new job, where a wacky mad scientist builds a time machine, and he transports his building manager and this guy who's a thief breaking into a neighboring apartment into feudal Russia, and teleports Ivan the Terrible to the modern day. And then it's a fish out of water. So the two guys in the past are pretending to be the czar and his high administrator, and fool everybody. And Ivan the Terrible is walking around and of course no one believes that he's Ivan the Terrible. And it's just it's really fucking funny. And it was just cool to see a very different movie, especially it's a Soviet era film. But it was
where did you find it?
It was on YouTube.
Huh?
If you just search it, you'll find it. And it's there's a bunch of Soviet era historical films that are just kind of up on YouTube apparently. So we were like, yeah, what can we do Saturday night? We can watch Star Trek more, or we can watch this like Soviet era comedy about Ivan the Terrible. And we watched. It was good.
Hell yeah. That sounds good as hell. Fuck.
It was good as hell. And you know what? You can watch it for free right now. You could stop listening to this podcast and you could go watch it. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Don't stop listening to the podcast. Not yet. So I actually fell into a bit of a weird YouTube wormhole over the weekend, or rabbit hole, whatever you want to call it. Randomly on my YouTube recommended, right on the front page, it recommended to me it was an 80s training video for Grand Country Buffet, or Old Country Buffet. And I was just like, all right, this is weird as hell. I need to see like what's this about. And it was just like, it was the fucking worst. It's like, make sure you find ways to talk to and connect with your customers at the carving station. And it's like, hey, hot one out there today, huh? And then it like spun the frame around for a transition. And it's like the same guy standing there like, wow, you watched the big game the other night? And just like, man, this is the worst.
I like how those kinds of training videos haven't improved in like 30 years.
No, not at all.
They've actually gotten worse.
The one that I did look up though, because I talked about it with a friend, there is a training video from the 80s for Wendy's where it breaks out into like raps all the time.
Oh God, no.
So there's a rap about manning the grill, and it starts out with this dude, and he's wearing the Wendy's uniform, but he has shades on. That's how you know he's fucking cool as shit. And he's like, now working the grill, Bill, it's not so tough, but first of all, you got to have the right stuff. It's like that, and it's fucking wild.
So like, I don't want to get ahead of things here, but I know you also.
No, please do.
You've been talking about grilling in our group chat. You gonna? Is that why you knew the lyrics to that rap? Have you been doing that while you get in the grill mode?
No, So here's the thing. I knew what those lyrics have been. At least that line has been like burned into my brain. So even before I linked that video to my friend, because we were talking about grilling, I brought that up and I quoted that like verbatim, and it's like, yep, still got it. I don't know if I want whatever it is in this case, but unfortunately I still have it, or maybe it has me. Maybe that's a more accurate way to put it.
You've been taken by the Wendy's training video?
Yes. Taken by Wendy's, a new Chuck Tingle novel.
Pounded in the ass by the anthropomorphization of the Wendy's training video.
I know this is McDonald's, but pounded in the ass by Grimace.
Oh, plus.
Grimace is terrifying.
Have you ever seen, speaking of training videos, and I don't want to keep interrupting your check-in. Have you ever watched the old police training video, Surviving Edged Weapons?
No.
It's very good. You should probably watch it. It's basically like a training video from what feels like an alternate dimension where everyone has knives on them all the time. It's really...
Oh, this probably explains a lot.
It's like, you got to be careful with the baseball cap because they might have lined the brim with razor blades. Like,
that reminds me of like all the shit like I would hear as a kid, and you probably heard this too, about like, oh, be careful about the candy you get in Halloween.
Oh yeah, it's the same energy.
Because someone might have put drugs in there, and it's like, no one's gonna put their perfectly good fucking drugs and just give them away to a bunch of shitty little kids. No one's gonna do that.
No. Yeah, so that's my. If you're looking to go deeper into the rabbit hole, Surviving Edged Weapons, I think, is the name of it, and it's
okay.
It's really good.
That sounds great. It sounds like it's also partially pulls a lot from like cheesy like low budget action movies at the time.
Oh, it does. It's like there is like a part of your brain when you finish it where you're like, wow, this is like a real training video for like police, and like kind of informs like, I'm sure how some people see the world and people they interact with.
It's definitely going to influence the way that they think, which is the scary and honestly sad part.
Yeah, but you should watch it and like try to suspend disbelief and just imagine that it's from like a parallel universe.
Okay, I can do that. I can turn my brain off for a bit. Yeah. That sounds good. I turned my brain off a lot. It's done me well so far. Okay, let's see. What the hell have I been up to? I've actually been getting... So last week we talked about and were also partially delayed by me rearranging my desk. And one of the big things as part of that was getting one of my CRTs up on my desk so I can play my Mario ROM hacks and stuff like that. And I've gotten really back into that over the past week. For a long time, I was hitting a pretty bad roadblock in one of the hacks I was trying to play.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, excuse me, I had to burp. I kind of loaded it back up over the past week, and I've just been like fucking rocking through levels.
Hell yeah.
Like, it's been fucking awesome. So I beat the thing I was having trouble with and went through like 3 or 4 more levels, and I was like, shit, all right, I'm back in. I'm fully back into this shit. I love the Kaizo ROM hack scene so much. God damn. I just keep thinking about that. And then like a streamer I watched he did a 24-hour stream recently.
Oh, dang.
And in it he announced a contest he was doing to get people into Kaizo, and has a lot of like different rewards, and it's open for 6 months. The idea is that during that time, record yourself beating what he lists as the 5, not even beginner hacks, but like, hey, here's like a good path that like ramps up pretty well to get used to playing to it, which spells out to QQ AIDS, and that's the way that he refers to it, because it's Quickie World 1, Quickie World 2, Akogare Mario, Invictus, and then Storks. That's like the hardest one out of them. So it's like, you know, hey, you do this, record it, and then you get a certain amount of entries for each one you do, and you know, at the end of it, so I'll pick it out. And one of the things he's actually giving away is a custom hitbox with a Brook Retro board, and it's like a special layout where it's really good for playing Super Nintendo games. And that's actually what he's been using for a while. He got his from Jason's Customs, which like just shut down, just closed their doors. But I'm guessing he's doing it through like all fight sticks or something like that. But like I'm super excited for it. It's kind of nice to have a little bit more motivation, even though I've been already really enjoying Kaizo recently.
That's cool. So are you gonna I guess do the gauntlet? Are you gonna go through all 5 of these and try to get the fancy hitbox? Awesome.
So I've already done Quickie World 1 and 2 and Akogare. I'm on Invictus is actually the hack that I'm doing right now. So I'm about halfway through that, and then on top of that, it's Dram World 1 and then Storks. So I can definitely do it. I actually played through Quickie World 1 like the day after he announced it. I'm like, I want to give this another shot, and it came out to like an hour or so for a run through of that. So
awesome.
I'm like, yeah, I could do this shit. I just got to record it, which then means like, okay, cool. So now I have an incentive to kind of start streaming again. That way I have the footage on there. So
awesome. It sounds awesome, like really fun too, to have like what's the word I'm looking for? I guess structure is the word. To have like sort of here's a list of like a progressive 5 things, and like if you do this, there's something at the end. I've realized that I really like that and stuff, and it's a big motivator for me. Like I got Ring Fit, and I was getting kind of like,
so good.
I was feeling kind of like I was getting bored of my workouts, and then Ring Fit comes in and it's like, well, here's like you can level up and you can like take different paths and levels, and like there's like a story to progress on, which is cool. And like so I get that of like how like you can like something, and then once you're able to like impose some kind of structure or incentive structure to it, like it can help you come back to it and also be like, oh yeah, cool, this is like a new way of perceiving this, or a new way to think about this.
Yeah, it's super cool. I love it. Don't forget too, have you tried out the rhythm game mode?
I haven't. I just unlocked it this morning. Okay,
cool. It's pretty fun. It's nothing super crazy. Don't, you know, if you really like rhythm games, you'll enjoy it, but it's not gonna scratch the rhythm game itch. But right. it can be like a fun kind of high intensity workout for like a little bit. I do like them a whole bunch.
Fun. Yeah, I've been really enjoying it.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's all I really had for a check-in. So I know today we kind of wanted to talk about games that we keep coming back to, spending in, I don't want to say a ridiculous amount of time in, but kind of, a ridiculous amount of time in. Naturally, considering we both play fighting games, that's something that just sort of happens with us.
I guess. I mean, let me check my Steam real quick and see how many hours I've put in just the PC version of Guilty Gear. I'm not gonna like what I'm gonna see, am I? Let's see. Guilty Gear Revelator, 608 hours played.
God damn. that definitely beats my PC time. But then it's like, okay, think of it too. How do I count the time that I've gone to locals and I've just sat down and grinded out matches, shit like that. The big one for me, and this is something I thought about a while ago, but was Street Fighter 4. I mean, I started playing with Street Fighter 4 and then Super and then all the iterations up through Ultra, not counting the time across multiple systems that I have, not counting time on Steam and also Games for Windows Live, because that used to be a thing.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
You qualify for a veteran discount.
Oh yeah, that's your fighting game AARP card. But locals, tournaments, travel time, going to and from all of these things, it's kind of wild. And then of course outside of fighting games too, we have MMOs. We've talked about Final Fantasy 14. I've talked about Destiny before, which
it's basically an MMO.
I probably have. I've probably hit the 800-hour mark in Destiny. Probably.
I'm looking at my other things now too, and it's just like, let's see, Grand Blue Fantasy Versus 83 hours, Under Night and Birth 57 hours. I don't even want to think about Street Fighter 4. I know that's been a long time too, but yeah, it's like, I think what's interesting about fighting games is, and what kind of, maybe this can kick off the conversation more broadly, is that when you think about fighting games as a structure, there's a lot of people that like will play a story mode and then do whatever, and then they stop playing. Yeah. It's like, but there's something about this genre that appeals to like a certain, part of my lizard brain that gives me big dopamine of just like, and I it's kind of hard to put down what is it that keeps me like, what do I want to do? I have like 15 minutes, I got 20 minutes. I want to go online and I want to play against strangers usually. And what is it that keeps you coming back to that? Because some people could probably look at that from an outsider's perspective and say, doesn't that get repetitive to play the same match? I mean, and I would say, oh, well, it's all the matchups. And they're like, well, then why you keep playing against your one friend? You play the same matchup between your two characters over and over, maybe hundreds of times, maybe dozens of times if you're playing out and hanging out in a night. And somehow it doesn't get boring to me.
Because, I mean, at least speaking for me most times, it's because that match keeps evolving. When you have that, like, long-term fighting game partner or rival, whatever you want to call them, you're constantly learning how to deal with their things, maybe how to get in on them a little bit better, and et cetera. There's the game is constantly developing and evolving in ways that keeps it really interesting. I mean, hell, case in point for Street Fighter 4, years ago, I was playing as a sub, my friend was playing as a sub, I was playing Ryu versus his Cammy, and it just kind of kept changing. We'd find, okay, well, this is working well, I'd find a counter, and then, okay, well, I'm going to fake you out, pretend I'm going to do this, but then do like a late dive kick or something, and it's gonna get a counter hit on your anti-air, stuff like that, and we kept changing the things we were doing. The answers to the challenges kept changing, and then the challenges started changing, and then, okay, well, I'm actually going to go back to, I hate to say fucking Yomi and sound like David Sirloin, but
what does that translate to?
Okay, roll back to Yomi level 1. I'm just going to do the regular ass fucking jump in, because now you're expecting something that's going to be delayed or something way trickier. I'm just going to do something super simple because that's the last thing on your mind right now, because that's how we've taken this matchup. And that is, no matter how many times you end up playing it, no matter how many times you play against the same person, it as long as they're also matching that kind of thought process, it keeps the game so fucking fresh.
Yeah, and that's how I feel about it. And I think you hit the nail on the head about like Yomi and levels of it as well, and like how even like there's so much nuance and so much meat on the bone in fighting games, because you end up in this like weird situation where generally it's like the worst option loses to the good option, that loses to the best option, that loses to the worst option.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's my favorite part of fighting games, when like the absolute most like you get to that level of nuance and familiarity with both the game and the players and everything, where it's just like things that feel like they shouldn't work do work because of like highly specific call outs and stuff. It's wonderful. And it's what keeps me coming back to the genre is how fun that is. But I'm curious because you brought up Destiny, and I have some experience with Destiny. I know you shoot the big gun. I think I played the big, large, huge character with the shields and stuff. I threw hammers.
Titan.
I threw hammers for a while. That was fun.
That's a Titan thing.
Yeah. But it didn't grab me in that way. In the way that like fighting games do or some other games have. And I'm curious, what is it about Destiny that keeps you coming back to it for like, what, you just said like over 800 hours altogether?
Yeah. just for Destiny 2, I'm looking right now, 773 hours. Yeah. And I'll be playing more this week and this weekend. As far as what keeps bringing me back, like that's actually a really good question. And as much as I kind of hate to say that, almost, the game, I mean, at its core, it's a shooter that feels very good to shoot. All the verbs that you do, for the most part, they are implemented in a way where they just feel good. Movement feels very good. Shooting feels very good. Each gun in that game has its own individual sounds, to the point where if I'm playing, and this has happened before, and it's kind of like a weird feeling when you recognize it or realize it. I played matches of PvP in that game where here's someone shooting at somebody else on their side of the map, and I say, oh, I know what gun they're using, and I have to adjust my strategy accordingly.
Okay, that's actually really cool.
And there's like very little kind of just like weird touches on it that make things like that possible. And that makes me appreciate it in new ways. Now, the game has problems, it absolutely does, but there's something to be said about the feeling of exploration that game gives you, how interesting some of the lore can be, some of the things that Bungie will just like sneak into the game. One of the really cool things they did, and I guess maybe this is even just, I don't know if this counts as a commentary on how they want to do their storytelling or just how they want to keep players engaged. At one point in just a random patch, they added in a secret quest. There was nothing in the patch notes about it. There's literally nothing about it. But it came in, it started out as, if you're on this one planet, and this one, every once in a while, there's a thing called public events that start, where it's just like, okay, little limited time quest pop, like Fates in Final Fantasy XIV. Mm-hmm. Think of it that way. Okay, well, if you do this one, it turns out in some caves that are like a little bit further out from that area, there'll be like a unique enemy that spawns. And they're kind of tough, but you can kill them. Okay, well, if you kill them before the public event is over, it opens up a portal. You go in that portal, and it transports you like way away to do this timed quest. You only have 20 minutes to beat it, otherwise you're just kicked out. Complete different area. It has its all like unique storytelling, super different from anything else in the game. And if you beat it, you get this exotic sniper rifle, which was like best in the game for a long time. So the fact that they're willing to do these things where they're kind of, hey, we're just going to drop this in, not tell anybody, and it's going to have this crazy good reward at the end, and we won't even acknowledge it in anything until like months down the line after everyone knows about it regardless. That drew me in. It made me so much more invested and interested in the world and what was going on and everything else. And then, okay, well, it has its unique lore to it that ties into other things. So, okay, well, now, shit, let me read up on the lore that the game has and stuff like that. I don't know. They find ways to keep it interesting. It's also very much been a social game for me. I have a group of friends from back home in New Jersey that still play the game a whole bunch. So I play with them, we catch up, we do raids together, stuff like that. So, I don't know, it has something, it has a lot of things that interest me a bit, and combining them together makes me want to keep coming back.
So there's one piece that I want to pull out of that you mentioned. And all the other stuff sounds cool. Like, I never got that far in Destiny. So for me, I guess I only really scratched the surface of it. Like, I would go around and I got to what it's like the light, not the cap, but like when you get to the point where it's like the grind really starts. And like
where, yeah, you have to do specific activities to get anything that's higher
than you.
In
Yeah,
life.
so like I played to that point. So I feel like I was mostly just like running around on different planets and doing stuff that felt a little bit more disjointed. I got some theming of that, like, hey, if you do like these quests, well, then it will open up like a bigger world quest, and everyone that's in the area has to kind of work together for stuff. And like that was all really cool. But I still felt really, I guess, disjointed with it. Like, I had more fun talking about playing Destiny with you all than I did playing it, because I think what was missing for me there was the social element.
Yeah.
Because I think that's, in a lot of ways, been a big thing for me, where the game, like, there's the gameplay loop. You know, you do the mission, you get the reward, you play a match, you think about it, you feel bad if you win or bad if you lose. Sometimes bad if you win. I don't know.
Sometimes bad if you win.
Yeah, sometimes bad if you win. Like, oh man, I really didn't deserve that, but you know you deserve that. They should have blocked. But it's that social element, like, that adds on to the gameplay play loop and puts it in a broader context as well, that I think has become a big thing for me in driving me back to games. And can I tell a story?
Yeah,
all right,
by all means.
So I think one of the franchises that also I always come back to, but has been great for communication, even in ways that, like, I didn't really expect, has been the Monster Hunter series. Because you don't even really need text chat. There's so much emoting and so much that you can communicate, and just like the gesture system, that you get this, like, really, it's bare bones, but like people do wonderful things with it. So I was playing Monster Hunter Tri, and I had to do a late game quest, which was 2 high rank Barioths at the same time, and people hated fighting Barioth. So I walk into the room, which is a lobby of 4 players. We do a couple hunts, and then I throw up my urgent quest, and I'm like, I need some help with this. And 2 players walk up, they see the posting, they do like the giving up, like exasperated emote, and then they leave. And then they leave.
Oh no!
But the third guy walks up, sees it, and does like the pump up emote, and then he runs away. And I'm like, okay, I don't know what's happening here. And then he comes back, because you, like, in Tri, you couldn't just change your armor. You had to like leave to the a different screen. So then he comes back and he's like full Devil Joe, like end game armor, does the flex emote, and then I do the flex emote. And like, based on the guy's name, I think he was from like Central America. And you know, we might not have been able to, like, we would have had language barrier between us. But all that melted away, and just like flex, and then I do the flex back, and then we, just the 2 of us, go beat this quest that people in the community hated doing. And that's always stuck with me, of just like, we didn't have one word exchange between us. Just a couple emotes, and like that social bit is what made that stand out to me. And like what really works for the Monster Hunter franchise for me in general. It's just like the kind of unique way you build these relationships with other people in a game that doesn't really have text chat.
And this is kind of a perfect example too of a game where you don't need to have complex communication. You're able to convey all that, everything that needed to be conveyed was able to happen through emotes, and that's honestly really fucking cool.
Yeah, it's really fucking cool. Like I guess there is a multiplayer component to it, but it's not a central focus of the game. But the Souls series has stuff like that as well, where you can come in as a Spectre or Bloodborne or whatever they call you at that point.
A blood boy. a blood bandit.
A blood bandit, or you come in to help. When you come in to help somebody out, you can't. There's no text chat. There's no text chat. There's no voice chat. But you can use the emotes. And you usually have to have like a preset series as well. So like you have, your emotes that you can use with the host. And, you can walk around and you can point at stuff, or you can do whatever. And like that kind of mechanic, even though the game doesn't really have a really established way or really flushed out interaction system, has created really memorable moments for me of like, oh no, I haven't gone through this area before, so I summon somebody to help me, and they're using like the point emotes to like point at, like, let's say there's a mimic in a chest, they point at it and then they do like a no symbol with their hands, like don't do that. And it's like that kind of stuff, like very bare bones, but being able to build, like, and that's again been like my most memorable moments in these franchises, is that social component, and it's created the interactions that have really kept me coming back, because it contextualizes the gameplay loop, and like, oh, there's another person there. I'm not just like, it's not just like an AI person, like an AI teammate. Like I got someone there who's like, and we have to try to communicate through this limited lens of emotes, and it's a lot of fun. It's a game in itself. Yeah.
That's super fucking cool. And like, to bring it back to Destiny suffers from the problem where it's the exact opposite of that. Because generally, I mean, when you're getting a lot of people together, it's either going to be for like kind of end game PvP, or it's going to be for raids. And raids, it's a lot of, as with raids in pretty much any kind of game, it's going to be a lot of mechanic heavy things where everyone needs to be on point and stuff like that. And for me, the enjoyment comes from like, we executed that fucking perfectly, or it's like we took a misstep, but we played really smart and we adapted and we were able to kind of bring it back together, shit like that. And it's so good. Like I can absolutely appreciate both of the need for, hey, I want to have some, be creative with simple communication, and then to an extent, yeah, sometimes we want to have that more complex communication that makes more sense once we're actually playing the game. God, I keep thinking about this one fucking end game, or well, I should say final boss for a raid, where it, to the point of where sometimes if you have too much complex communication or complex mechanics, players will do anything just to fucking avoid it. To the point where I think everyone the first 2 weeks of this fucking raid did it the intended way, or tried to do it the intended way. Then someone's like, hey, I found this fucking cheese we can do so we don't have to do the hard part at all. And instead of doing this as intended, we just all, instead of splitting up, go into one room and just beat the shit out of the boss as fast as possible. And then we get to skip all the fucking mechanics. Which I'm glad that I did that raid the intended way. I'm glad that I fought Riven the way the devs wanted me to, because it was a genuinely cool experience. But I'm never gonna fucking do that again, ever, because it takes forever. It's a very easy to fuck it up that has to start the entire thing over. Because the other way you can do it is, yeah, it'll take us about, I don't know, a minute and a half tops. It's a no-brainer.
Yeah. I know we've been cooking on this idea of like power creep in games, and like maybe we should save it for later. But like that, I've definitely been feeling a lot of that with, especially Final Fantasy 14 in old content. Of like, there's a wonder in like having to like coordinate and do the fun stuff and do it the intended way, and then there's going back and being like, well, I'm like level 70 and I can just solo walk into the extreme version of Ifrit and punch him to death in a minute.
Yeah, I'm gonna go walk into this thing meant for 8 people. I'm gonna go in solo and I'm gonna punch God in the mouth.
And you can do that in the game, and it's like it's the way that, again, kind of it's more mechanical and less social, but like the way that game mechanics can get recontextualized over time, and like how the mechanics change and how it can change a reflection to past content, which can add more time. Because I probably would never have done, like, I played A Realm Reborn. I played vanilla for a little bit. Like, I did Ifrit Extreme then. That was cool. You know, it was a cool experience. I remember being afraid when I got Titan and Roulette, and everyone was like, oh no, we're all going to get knocked off because people didn't know all the strats yet.
Uh-huh.
And now it's just like you go back and it's like, we're going to go punch this Rocky boy.
Yep.
It's just how that has changed. And yeah, it's still fun, but it's different. And it's like, but different in a good way that actually has like enriched the experience.
And that's actually something, I don't remember if I brought it up on the podcast a while ago, but a couple weeks ago, maybe a month or two ago even, Master Hu and I were doing exactly that. We were trying to grind out for some mounts, and so, okay, we have to fight all the Realm Reborn primals on Extreme. And the way that changed how I did those fights, it wasn't just like, haha, okay, they're dead now, I'm so strong. I mean, granted, that did happen, but there was a lot of thought put into it of, okay, we're not healers, and I was much more higher leveled at the time than Master Hu was, so it was kind of on my back. I'm not trying to say that in a mean way or anything, but okay, I'm a very frail DPS. I need to make sure that I'm doing what I have to keep my health up. I'm making sure that I have to know all of these mechanics, because since there are no healers, and the only way I can heal myself is by popping blood, whatever the fuck it is, where like part of my damage gets converted back into healing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I need to know what the mechanics are, because I can't afford to just be taking extra damage. And that made it really interesting. Like, some fights were a lot harder than, like, Leviathan was actually pretty hard solo. Rama was actually pretty hard to solo too, until I got the mechanics down. But it was just such a more interesting experience to try and find ways to adapt these things that are meant for 4 or 8 people into, okay, I need to do everything at once and I need to be on point. And it was so interesting. I loved it. I loved doing it.
I might try doing some of that. Apparently, the tying everything together with Monster Hunter, with like current endgame gear, it's possible to solo the Rathalos one from Stormblood. So like that might be fun, or like getting a small group of people. I mean, it's meant for 8 people, but it would be fun to be able to cut it down to 4 and have like the real Monster Hunter experience of just like 4 players fighting Rathalos.
Yeah. Oh god, I'd be very down for that.
That sounds
I
fun.
love too after a certain phase in that fight, your healers can't actually heal you.
Yeah,
And
and
the
you have to
only
like use
way-
potions.
Yeah, you have to drink mega potions. Yeah, I love that, and you do the animation and everything.
Oh fuck!
It's so
I
good.
need to do this fight. I just unlocked it, and I'm really excited for it.
Same. I wish you were on the same data center. It makes me sad that you're not.
Yeah, but that's another good segue back to social stuff. Like
Hey.
now that I've hit endgame in Shadowbringers, one of the things I'm kind of finding is that it's harder to keep up steam. And the only time I've ever really like stuck with an MMO long term after getting the level cap was Wrath of the Lich King and WoW, and that's because I had a guild that I really got along with and like provided a lot of context and stuff. And I would do stuff with them that I would never have done solo. Like there was a super ultra mega rare spawn mount in Northrend. And I would get on, like we would get on our flying mounts, and like me and 2 of my guildmates, I miss you, Decus and Onion, like those were fun times. We would go flying around trying to find this one spawn to get this mount.
Damn.
And like I would never do that solo, but having people with you and having like a solo, like a social dynamic to it, the opposite of solo actually, it contextualizes, it enriches that kind of gameplay so much. It's like it doesn't feel like just the gear treadmill. It feels like I'm doing this with other people. We're on the ride together, and that makes it a lot more fun.
It did, because I used to play WoW ages and ages and ages ago, back when I was in college, which contributed to me doing very bad in one of my semesters of college. But I would play with my friend Josh, and we would be playing and be like, okay, it's kind of late. Like, I'm going to get to bed. I have classes tomorrow. And he'd be like, okay, I'm going to stay on for like another hour or 2. And I'm like, fuck, okay, I'm going to go to 7-Eleven, get some energy drinks. I'll be right back. I was very easy to convince to like keep playing games back in the day. It did not take me much at all.
Yeah. I mean, whomst amongst us? I had I lost basically a semester of my college life to WoW. And WoW and Dysphoria. That was like not fun. I didn't leave my apartment basically for a month outside of class.
Oh no.
Oh yeah, it was not fun. Turns out that like playing World of Warcraft, speaking of like other things that come up, so like that was the first time that I made a female character, and like I went and like I was sitting through like going through all the hairstyles and stuff, and then I went to bed crying that night, and I was like, yeah, this is normal. This is a thing people do.
Morgan.
Oh yeah. It's like another fun memory I have of World of Warcraft was like, wow, cool. I was like crying alone in my dorm at night because I was like, oh, I'm so sad, but I don't know why.
Oh.
Fast forward a couple of years. You got to be able to laugh about some of these things. But so I'm curious because I know what my answer to this is.
Okay.
About, social components in games. Bringing this back to the point of several points of departure ago, do you think that you would still be playing fighting games if it wasn't for the community around it? And I don't mean like the FGC that we talk about as like, oh yeah, like we're all in this together, folks, because fuck no, we're not.
Yeah, but do you mean as far as like local scenes, like if you
local
had or
scenes
didn't
and the
have?
friends that you make and all that? Like, do you think that you would have stuck with it as long if it wasn't for the people?
I feel like that's a really hard question for me to answer honestly.
That's absolutely a question that I should have like pitched beforehand, but it just came to me. So
No.
I get it.
I like being able to go through this thought process like on air though, because I feel like one way or another, I would find a community for the game even if it wasn't local. You know?
Well, I mean, like in general, like not even just local. Like if they're like the social component of the game if that wasn't there, do you think you would care about this genre as much as you do?
Like no net play even? Because I would count that as
Let's
like
say it's all anonymous net play. Like you don't even see the names. Like it's just the gameplay loop.
No matchmaking or anything like that. Probably not.
Like, do you find the gameplay that good in and of itself? Because like I've talked to some people that are just like, yeah, like it's just the pursuit of getting better. If everything was anonymous or like, and they didn't have a local scene, like the only way you could play was on net play, and you never saw a person's name. It was just like
you never did any matchmaking, no voice chat.
Like they would still play because they like the challenge and the dynamics of like mastery, and their experience is very much tied to the game itself. Whereas I know I'm very much tied to the stuff and the culture and the people outside of it. And that's what keeps me coming back, really.
Yeah. I think I would still have an interest in fighting games, but I don't think I would have pursued it anywhere near to the extent that I have. I don't think I would have gone out to tournaments. I don't think I would have gone out and I can't imagine that I would have played it anywhere near as much. You know?
Yeah.
Because what would, not what, I almost said what would the point be, but not quite to that extent, but like, why would, I don't know, the best moments from fighting and most memorable ones, the ones that I think about here, and even mentioned earlier on this show, was like the interactions I was having with my friend as we were both messing around with like sub characters. Like that was one of the purest distillations of why I like fighting games. And if it wasn't with someone that I was able to sit down next to as someone who I have a history with in fighting games, I don't think I would have enjoyed it anywhere near as much. If I played against some random, it would have been like, oh, that was a fun set, but I wouldn't be thinking about it still. I wouldn't be talking about it still. You know?
No, I do know. And I feel the same way. That it was really strange to me when I was talking to this person, and they basically were saying like, yeah, it's for me, it's all about like mastery and gameplay and all that. And I'm like, it just didn't clock in my brain, because when I do think about a lot of, for me, the most like the best experiences and the most enriching experiences, it's been I need like that social component. It's seeing your friend win and being excited because they're your friend. Like it's not like, oh, that gameplay was really good, great set between those two players. Like, no, that's my boy. Like that's the element that is like that connection and that community is what I really need, because the games are a medium for communication. And that's what I like. There's that comic that you've probably seen. It's like a crop from, I think it's a doujin somewhere, and it's like, it's like, if I just wanted to win, I don't need a competitive game for that. No, I want to fuck up a real living human being. Yes. And fucking up a real living human being is, there needs to be like a real identifiable person with a personality, with thoughts, behaviors that you can get a read on. And like those components that both enrich the outside context of the game, also to me are very heavily tied to the gameplay. If I have close friends, I'll make reads on them that I wouldn't make on just a person in tournament that I'd never played before. And it's because I know that,
right? But like, say if I'm playing against, for example, one of my friends plays fast. I've played him a fucking ton in Guilty Gear, right? I will do the weirdest, zaniest shit against him that I would never do against another fast player, right? And this is the same thing, because you know this person, you know all of their unique quirks that other players aren't going to do. I can say, I know what the fuck Brandon is going to do, because this is the shit that Brandon does. This is what he plays in every game, and this is the shit he's going to do here. And I can, and like using that knowledge, like that's the fucking shit. That is that good.
I love my kid, but you might know Rye Valentine, and so I would I haven't played Guilty Gear in a minute, but I was playing with them, and they have a habit of they OS throw Ismilia every fucking wake up. Then they know they do it, like 4H on wake up every time. That's the great meme. So I play against them specifically because of that, like, and play against them differently, because that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking to get like that kind of like nuanced experience that is fueled by like, I know who this person is, and I have a read on the way that they play, and I have a read on what they want to do. And if you take that away, it's not quite as fun for me. And it's been hard in COVID without having locals and without having that kind of connection. And, you know, I can play Killer Instinct, which is fun. It's got great netcode. And I can play Skullgirls, and it's fun, and it's got great netcode. But I don't recognize the names as much, and I don't recognize the players. And when I don't understand the mechanics of the game as much, it's not as easy to communicate with people and to get that kind of like enrichment out of it. And I miss that, and it's been a bummer for me. I guess like in a way that I didn't really realize until I just started having this conversation with you.
And there's, of course, you can go on like Discords and play there, but it's not the same. And even then, it's like I don't want to be talking to like some stranger over Discord. I want to be talking to the people that I know or the people who are going to be sitting next to me. Or even if I don't know them, like they're still here. You know, they're still sitting down with me in this venue. And that sucks to not really have, you know?
Yeah, it's rough. And it's something, it's like you don't really, how does the song go? You don't really realize what you got till it's gone. Something like that. I think it's a Smash Mouth song. No, it's a Counting Crows song, actually. It's actually a Counting Crows cover
Smash
song.
Mouth now.
It's not a Smash Mouth song. Like, this is our revisionist history. Every song is actually a Smash Mouth song.
We're smash washing history.
Shut your fucking mouth. You can go smash wash your mouth out with soap for that one.
Yeah, I deserve it.
You do. Thank you for acknowledging that. Yeah, but I miss it. And I miss that dynamic. And I don't have like a stable group in Final Fantasy 14. And, you know, the games that I'm playing that have like good online experiences, I'm not as familiar with the communities. So it's like that social component that keeps me coming back to a lot of these games. It's just like not there in the same way lately. And I'm jonesing. I miss it. I want to fuck up a real living human being and then like gloat over them because I know who they are. But also there's no hard feelings because we're friends. And then we talk about it. We improve and it's beautiful. You have like this like you're like looking into the distance. You have this like glow about you. You're just like you look like you're like in a blissful dream. That's what you look like right now.
I remember going to East Coast Throwdown. My first time ever. It was probably around like 2010 or 2011, and I remember thinking because I was talking to my friend. Who was also planning on going, or at least talking to me about it. And he's like, yo, you're really gonna go? I was like, yeah. I want to make someone feel bad for playing this game. That was it, right? I want to sit down and I want to beat somebody, and make them feel bad for coming out. Not a good motivation. Kind of mean, very mean, actually.
Yeah, actually.
But like, I don't know. There was that level of competitive drive that. If it wasn't for any kind of community or sense of community, that I wouldn't have fucking gotten. You know? And then, of course, I proceeded to lose round one to a person who had his whole crew behind him. I was like, damn, I'm just getting shit talked at like fucking crazy. Fuck that dude.
Wow, you got shit talked out of bracket.
He made me feel bad for playing the game.
Damn. I the person who is the closest to being my FGC dad, at one point I did ask him, like, so why do you play these games? And he looked me dead and he looked through me and said, because I want you to feel bad. Fucker played Izanami. It's everyone's got their own reasons. For me, I want people to feel good. I want to connect with people, and I like playing games that are sort of a canvas that I can paint a social portrait on.
I mean, it's a joke, but it's also like, hey, it's a cliche for a reason, right?
Yeah, it's a cliche because like it's good, it's wholesome. I like it, and
oh man,
we're coming up on like almost an hour here.
I know.
Yeah,
I'm kind of surprised.
This is a good spot to wrap, I think. Actually,
can I fit in one last?
Yes, you can. Of course, we have time.
Story? Thank you. there's there's one of my favorite memories of playing of like mid match playing a game. I was playing Guilty Gear Xrd. I don't remember if it was Rev 2 or not, or which version it was, but I did. I did a flash kick in the middle of someone's string, just like in the middle of their block string is Leo. I had the counter hit flash kick and I comboed off of it and all this shit. And they were so mad. They're like, "Why the fuck would you choose to flash kick there? Why did you think that was the spot you should flash kick?" I'm just like, it fucking worked. So I was right. So I made the smart decision. Me throwing out a flash kick in the middle of your block string, that was the smartest decision I made. I took a risk and it worked, and you were not expecting it, and that's why it worked.
It's the worst option.
I was fucking feeling myself.
The worst option beating the best option. Just like doing a flash kick at mid-screen, sometimes it works.
So sometimes the best thing is to do wake up reversal. Sometimes that's what you got to do. And you know what? Even if it doesn't work, even if they block it or they backdash and it whiffs, you showed them that I'm not afraid to do this fucking option. And you know, maybe even on purpose, I'll do it again the next time I'm knocked down. That way you know that even if I know it's a bad idea, do not fucking meaty me. Because I will throw out that fucking reversal.
So you're looking specifically to use the medium of communication in fighting games to communicate threats.
to communicate, I ain't no baby back bitch. Yes.
Damn. I whiff this flash kick at mid screen so you can suck my dick from the back.
Did you see the trophy I posted on Twitter?
No, I haven't, but is it good? I'm sure it's good.
It's just like, you know, I have my custom crazy straw that just says "eat my ass."
Yeah, I've seen it.
And so I was looking at a trophy builder online for like a local place, and it was like a big like 3-tiered trophy that has like the stuff on it. And it's like, "What do you want on the plaque?" And I just wrote on like just one row, "Just suck it" in all caps, and that was it. Just suck it. And I'm like, you know, I kind of want to spend $75 to get this fucking trophy.
I'm surprised it's only $75. Oh God.
Do it.
Let's end it before we get any deeper.
Yes.
We have to. Before it was a good spot. Now it's like we have to.
Let's end it on suck it.
Yeah.
Thank you everyone who has tuned in to this episode of the YASEcast, episode 14. I love this episode. I'm a big fan of this episode. You know, I hope you are too. Thank you, Morgan, again for joining me here tonight. Morgan, where can the people find you?
You can find me on twitter.com at fog_e, at Twitch at the same. And that's about it for me. Yeah.
Right on. And you can find me, Lamo, on Twitter at Lamo_SD and on Twitch at twitch.tv/Lamo. As I mentioned earlier at the beginning of this episode, I'm planning on starting to do some Mario, ROM hacks, stuff like that again. So be sure to tune in. Those are a good time. And until next time, stay beautiful. Keep it wavy. Keep cool. It's summer. It's fucking hot and humid as shit out there. Stay inside. What are you doing? Yeah. We'll see you next week.
Hell yeah.